Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on True Tenchi Muyo Volume 2 Yosho. As the subtitle says, this is a book about Yosho. We get to see him as a teenager, sort of going to the Galaxy Academy, and then his fight with Ryoko and getting to Earth. It's been a few months since I read this. I remember the general plot and stuff like that. I might not remember some of the finer details, but also when reading this, it didn't feel like a lot of little things stood out too much as like, okay, this is definitely important. I need to keep track of that. Um, Overall, as a book, I found this one to be very enjoyable. Yosho as a character is somebody that I don't particularly care about too much. He's fine. He's in the OVAs. He's just the goofy old man, except for like the one conversation he had with Funaho in OVA 2, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna get serious now and take off my old man disguise. And it's like, look, I'm young. But overall, he's just the goofy old man. So coming into this, it's not like I was really excited to see what Yosho was like as a child. Um, though I did enjoy this book quite a bit. So, brief summary and sort of, I guess, what was introduced in this book. So, Yosho gets sent to Galaxy Academy because he is getting romantic feelings for his stepmother, Misaki, and she's getting feelings for him. And so it's like, we gotta stop that, get him out of here, send him to school. So he gets there and he meets Irie, and they sort of hit it off, and eventually it becomes romantic. And then we also have like a villain who I don't remember the name of, and he was so irrelevant to this book that I checked the back to make sure I had like everybody's names right. It's mainly just Kanemitsu's name, because I couldn't remember if that was his name. And the villain in this, like the other Jurian royal guy who is in this and sort of causing trouble for Yosho, doesn't even have a sketch in the back of that. That's how irrelevant he is. But from what I remember, I think he's from the same family as the antagonist from Volume 1 Jurai. In Jurai, there is like another like royal family who doesn't want Azusa to become emperor. And I think the villain in this is from the same family. I think he had the same name, right? So we have that little thing going on, and then we have Kanemitsu, who I mentioned, who is another kid from, I think he's from Jirai, where he's like, it's kind of like a soldier. He didn't get here because like he didn't pay tuition to get here. He's on like a scholarship and whatnot. And we get like an interaction early on between him and Yosho where he's like, things are dangerous around here. Be careful. This was after the other Jurian, whose name I don't know, sent some like assassins to attack Yosho. And it's whatever. We get some political stuff going on, obviously. There's a lot of this in this series. We get the nice little romance stuff going on between Yosho and Irie, which was quite nice, and I like their relationship in this. And then the back, like, couple chapters, or not couple chapters, but at least the last chapter, is Ryoko attacking Jirai, and sort of getting more details about that. Because in OVA 1, we just see quick glimpses. It's like, alright, here she is attacking, here's Yosho running off to fight her, and that's basically it. And then in OVA 2, we just get a little glimpse of what was happening with Sasami at the time. And so this sort of brings all that together and puts a bit more detail on it. We get to see like Ryoko and Yosho interacting a bit, him chasing her to Earth, seeing like exactly when during all this Sasami fell to her death, and we just sort of fill it out. And I don't really have anything to say much about it. It's like, oh, this little detail here or this here. Again, I don't remember much of that. I just remember it's like, all right, cool, we're seeing a bit more of this, sort of what was happening. We get to see like how Ryoko was acting, and I don't remember if they mentioned this in the book, but one of the things that's sort of about this series is Ryoko was barely human. She was just a killing machine, basically, and the thing that sort of gave her humanity and made her like a civil in the OVAs is her just sort of being a spirit and watching people, and specifically watching Tenchi grow up. So she's very different in this than she is in the show. But yeah, that's basically it for this book. It's very straightforward. It's not like Volume 1 Dry, where it's like... The way that was structured was Azusa gets to Earth, and then in between what's going on Earth, we see, like, here he is meeting Seto, here he is getting his royal tree, and sort of like in between all that, cutting back to the plot on Earth with him and Funaho. This is very straightforward. Here's Yosho as a child, here's time passing chronologically, here's the fight with Ryoko, he's on Earth, and then we get a little kind of a cliffhanger at the end where it's like, calls up Airi, or no, he called up Kanemitsu after people thought he was like dead, and people freaked out, and it's like Airi was there. It's like, you're alive, what are you doing here? And then it's like was it Minaho? It's Funaho and Minaho, right? That's his daughter's name. I can't even check the book because I think it's wrong in the color pages, so I wouldn't even know where to find that. But yeah, and then we get to see, I think it's Minaho, and then like, oh, Yosho, you're alive. I'm your daughter, by the way. And that's sort of the end of the book. Overall, I had a good time reading this. It didn't impact me the same way Volume 1 did. Volume 1 completely changed my opinion on Azusa as a character. He was somebody I did not care about, even a little. That first volume I liked so much, and really, really made me like Azusa, where I have a specific memory of... I don't remember if OVA 4 was still airing after that book came out, or if it was a rewatch. But I specifically remembered, like, after the switch had been flipped and Azusa was like, alright, here's a character I don't really care about, I won't care if he pops up, and then reading the book, and then OVA 4, seeing the episode where he pops in, I think it's the final episode of OVA 4, and just being like, oh, there's Azusa. I like this guy now. That's great. I'm glad he's here. For Yosho, like, this was a cool story. I liked sort of seeing him young and sort of what led up to him deciding to just stay on Earth. But it didn't really change my opinion of him as a character. When I start watching OVA 3 and I see Yosho, I'm not going to be like, oh, there's Yosho. I'm so happy to see him. It's just like, oh, yeah, there he is. So yeah, good book, a fun read. This was also quite long, but I still pumped it out in just like a couple of days. All of these True Tenchi Muyo novels have been really quick reads for me. Like, I read the first one in like a day, and then I read this one in a couple, and then I read Washu in just like a couple days too. So like they're a breeze to get through, and the little character, like, they're nice little character pieces, which is something I think Tenchi nowadays is missing, where it's way too focused on like the political stuff and just world building, and characters sort of take a back seat. Like, this was a good Yosho story, and it didn't feel like Yosho was just put on the title to sort of then do political stuff and then do world building. Like, we get a good Yosho story out of this, which is nice. But yeah, those are my thoughts on True Tenchi Muyo Volume 2. I enjoyed reading it. It didn't impact my opinions on any characters the same way Volume 1 did, but it was still a really good read, and I'm glad I finally got around to it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.